Good morning and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL. And yes, I am smiling because we are on Judge Watch Day 5. Hopefully, we will get a decision sometime today. Maybe it's going to be later in the evening after the markets close. I don't know. Of course, we're all, or at least most of the gaming community, is hoping for a positive decision in Microsoft's favor. Dave and I were talking prior to going live in the green room, as we do, and we, in our hearts and in our minds of justice, believe that this deal is not going to get blocked by a preliminary injunction, which is what the FTC is seeking, simply because there is no market harm, or at least immediate market harm, and there's certainly no immediate harm to what the most important thing, us, the consumers. And I think that the judge, or Judge Corley, is going to see right through the FTC's BS. But good morning, Dave, man. How the heck are you? And are you ready for today's show?
I am very ready for today's show. Fired up, ready to go. It's going to be a good one. We got a great panel. We got Boom in the house. So, life is good. It's all going to be good.
Yeah, I put it this way. As an Xbox fan, the future is incredibly bright. Like after that June showcase, and we got Starfield on the horizon, no pun intended. It's going to be we're going to be eating good for a long time. The ABK deal for me is going to be the cherry on top of this Banana Boat Sunday. Obviously, talking to Everborn, Fuzzy Belvedere, he seems to think it doesn't really matter one way or the other, because if they get ABK, great, but if they don't, look out, because they may go on a spending spree of epic proportion. And I have a little pushback for that. I'm very concerned on what the gaming market will look like if the deal is blocked. Because what does that mean? I mean, yes, it's a $70 billion deal, but at the same time, where does this start and stop? Does it stop at 10 billion? Does it stop at 1 billion? Does it stop at 500? We won't know. And I hate to say this, folks, the pressure on the judge to get this decision right is immense.
Oh, yeah.
She has been honorable. She has been forthcoming. She has asked the tough questions. I am in agreement. There is a narrative running around. No matter which way she decides, we can all say that she was fair.
Yes.
And I honestly believe that she has been fair. I think that this fair judge that we have seen, or I got a chance to listen to all 4 days of the litigation in the Zoom calls, seemed to be focusing on consumers, which is something the FTC did not do. And I think just based on that principle, the deal should go through, because, again, we are going to win. We are going to be given opportunities to pay less for a game, where if Sony had it their way, every game would be $76.43. And to be honest with you, come next generation, don't be surprised if Sony doesn't try to push the envelope and make games $80, $79.99. I would not be surprised in the minute, remotely. But good morning, Fuzzy. How you feeling?
Morning. Glad to be here, man. Just so much going on in the background as far as ABK and other acquisition talks, and a lot of other publishers leaking some information as far as upcoming potential games. And we had a fireside chat on Diablo yesterday. So there's just so much going on. But man, oh man, can't wait to get into these topics today. Glad to be here with you guys. Let's do this.
Yeah, and on top of all the information we already have, Capcom had an investors meeting, and we got some pretty cool information, except if you're Miles Dompierre. Because, Miles, I love you, brother, but this Code Veronica slander that you continue to run with is unacceptable on every level. We love Miles. Miles is a really good dude. Hopefully his dad is doing better. Obviously, he had some family stuff happen. Couldn't do chatter days last couple of weeks because, family first always. A lot of love goes out to him. And of course, Crispy Bomb still recovering, still mourning the loss of his mom. Obviously, Crispy's not here today. I would imagine he's going to keep away for a bit, and that's unbelievably, expected. I know because I lost my mom last year, and it was super tough for me. Coming back to podcasting was something I needed, not because it podcasting is more than family. It took me away. Whenever I'd be here, I'd be away from the reality. So everyone's different, but we'll get Crispy back here when he's ready, folks. And last and no way least, Breakfast Watch Friday edition. What did you have for breakfast? Because I'm gonna tell you what I had. I made myself 2 fried eggs with a slice of cheese on a nice bun with a 16-ounce cup of coffee. And I realized I don't like fried eggs that much. I rather them scrambled. So moving forward, it's going to be scrambled eggs. What did you have for breakfast, Red Bull?
Well, I generally don't do the fried eggs anymore for whatever reason, but I do scramble them. And what I did is I made myself a little mini omelet and
Nice, dude.
Inside of 2 pieces of toast.
Okay.
And made myself an omelet sandwich. And you know what kind of cheese I use? Everybody knows Gouda. Because it's the best. It's a Gouda. It's the best.
I knew it.
Yeah. But yeah, I typically do the 3 eggs, the Gouda, mix it all, get the eggs, get ready. And as soon as I flip them, put the Gouda on there, fold it up, and then put it on the bread. And it's so good. And I don't use butter. I use olive oil
Okay.
So it's, different taste, but at the same time, it's a little healthier,
I use a little canola is what I like. A little canola on the pan, eggs fry nice. But again, I like the scrambled eggs, brother. I'm more of a scrambled eggs kind of a guy than I am the fried eggs guy. I was, you know what it was like? I was lazy. That's what happened. I'm like, let me just heat up the pan, put the stuff on, fry the eggs, job, be done. And I was like, this is okay. Scramble would have been better. So listen, good to have you back there, brother. Good that you had a nice, healthy, delicious breakfast, because now it's time to talk video games, brother. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, and I'm excited to talk with you guys. I missed out on the Sega talk for Mondays, but
yeah, you know
okay.
what? We can revisit that for a hot second, folks. Bear with us because on Monday I didn't get a chance to. Obviously we had 2 guests pop in. Hargeet Chani jumped in, and obviously Everborn jumped in for a hot second to give us his hot take from Saturday regarding why he believes the deal is going to go through. And what we can expect in regards to, because my concern was cloud, and it turns out there is no concern for cloud because cloud is not a separate market, and they didn't prove that. But being that you're here, being that this is one of those days that we have a lot of smaller topics. I was hoping for the big one, folks. I was hoping to be running around here throwing confetti about an approval that is not going to come. I mean, listen, if it's announced during the show, obviously it's going to be crazy. But let's get that Sega talk, because we didn't get a real chance to get Dave's opinion and Fuzzy's opinion. And it turns out that Dreadpool wants to get in on it. So let's talk Sega for a hot second, because I think that there really is some meat on this bone. But before we do that, Gerald Mack, my very good brother, he's one of the great beards, folks, and he's got a really, really slamming a beard. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, shout out to Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick, and the panel. Salute, gentlemen, celebrating 16-year anniversary. Dude, congratulations. Mrs. Boom and I celebrated our 23rd in June. So congratulations to you and the missus. And all I need to say is decision is in Xbox's favor. From your mouth to the gaming god's ears, because yes, it should happen. And you know what? After the Sega talk, I got some numbers. Now, I want to give him credit. Where credit is due. I don't always agree with his posts. I don't like a lot of the stuff that's written on his website, but I will give him credit. These Call of Duty numbers that I'm going to read to you folks are not only bananas, not only bonkers crazy, but in last place, in the most terrible way possible, is Xbox. In every one of these Call of Duty stats, it's pure madness. How terrible Xbox does with Call of Duty, considering they used to be the place. We'll get to those in a hot second. Let's start with, of course, Web Dave. Dave, let's get the Sega talk on, because we know that thanks to this court case, a lot of information came out. And we know that Phil Spencer had drawn up a proposal or an offer to acquire Sega. Sega has legendary IP. Sega has absolutely amazing characters. They are still considered one of the top publishers in Japan, a region where Microsoft really needs to break into, right? We know that they have an absolutely astounding relationship with Sega. Just based on June's show, we got two Persona games and a brand new unannounced game from Atlas dropping in not only onto Xbox, but into Xbox Game Pass. We also know that they have a Super Games contract or collaboration that they're currently working with. We know Sarah Bond has been back and forth. But when you add to the conversation of what Microsoft is looking to do, like I said, Call of Duty, yes, I get it, super important, but not the main focus. I don't think it ever was the main focus of ABK. It is mobile. They get King. Let's say this deal does go Microsoft's way, and now under the Microsoft umbrella, they have Activision, they have Blizzard, but in my opinion, the most important thing is King. Now, when you take a step back, Sir Dave, you look at Sega, and now it's starting to glow even brighter because they just purchased Rovio, makers of Angry Birds. Now, maybe Angry Birds does not sit on the top of the list as it did, I don't know, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago. But the fact that they would have another publisher in Rovio on top of King, that's a lot of know-how. And Xbox has a lot of IP that could find their way to mobile, where we know so many people play. Dave, is Sega still a play?
I think so. And if you say this enough times, Everborn will pop up on the show. That's a given. He'll be in the chat here before long. But yeah, no, I definitely think that they are at play. I think it's a no-brainer. I don't think that even if the ABK deal goes through this year, that Sega is probably going to be a beginning of next year type acquisition. I believe the rest of this year they will go after individual studios that they need to to bolster up, or to make sure that they don't lose access to in other ways. And of course, with going after some studios to bolster after the ABK deal is done, that they don't have to go through all this other things with the FTC. There's no, if it's not nothing, nothing on the trade or the stock market, then all those kind of things are just basically a boom and go kind of thing. And to get Sega, it could. Some people say it could be 5 billion. Some people say it could be a little less. It could be a little more, but it's a definite. I don't think it's definitely a bigger red flag as the other was. And like I said, they've already got some good things in the works, and maybe they don't go after Sega. Maybe Sega is set up to, what, we've got a good relationship. Now let's continue to to build on that, and then they're all in as far as maybe making some exclusive games for them. I mean, that's a possibility too.
Yep.
But or maybe at least to tide them over until they feel like it's time to make the purchase. But we know Microsoft isn't done. They've said they're not done. The board wants them to buy more. They have enough money in the coffers after this deal. $90 billion in the coffer.
Yep.
Cash on hand. It's so important to say. Not a stock trade, not a borrow money against. It's cash on hand that they have ready to spend and invest to continue to grow the Microsoft monster. So I'm thinking that do I think it's going to happen? It'd be nice. I know everyone would love it. I mean, there's a lot of benefits to it. Even with the Rovi acquisition they recently did, that'll help bolster up mobile as well. So
100%.
there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of great franchises in there. Plus, they're really good. They have the Sonic team, and I know you've talked about some other different developers or programmers working on the Bird and Bear Banjo.
Yeah.
But can you imagine if Sonic Team got a hold of Banjo?
I would be. I mean,
Could be
to
crazy.
add to your point, and it really does bring a finite conversation to right forward. Is if you consider what Microsoft would have with ABK, right? We already have Conquer, which they're not doing anything with. They already have Banjo, which they're not doing anything with, and that's fine. Maybe they will eventually, and they should. But if you could turn around and you get your hands on Spyro, you get your hands on Crash, and those are first party IPs now. Now, will they continue to release them multi-plat? I don't know. I mean, if you like money, yeah, I guess. But you turn around and you have these legendary. They're not just IP; they're legendary IP. And then somehow or another, whether it's an absolute acquisition of Sega, Sammy, or they invest 50% into the company and they take ownership of these of Sega, which is the one way to alleviate any that and that idea comes the way of Everborn Saga. That's the way you alleviate the FTC and that kind of nonsense. You don't buy the company, you invest and you have controlling stake in the company, which is something they may do.
Yep.
And you wouldn't have any regulatory problems because they're not buying the company; they're investing into it. Even Japan, like, we can't do anything. Sega sold the shares; they bought them. They own the 50% of the company. Would be fine. You can add Sonic, and folks, listen. Okay, I know that there's a whole running thing: Sonic better than Mario, Mario better than Sonic. Whichever way you decide to go, I hear you. I'm more of a Sonic guy. I'm gonna be honest with you. I love Sonic, but I will say Sonic the Hedgehog is probably more popular now than he was in the 90s. Just look at the films.
Oh, yes.
Just look at the merch. You ever go shopping with your kids? Because I go with Tyler all the time. And there is not a place in a Target or a Walmart or wherever, even a GameStop, that doesn't have Sonic something. It would be pretty epic, Dave.
Yeah, I wish I had a list in front of me of all the different, properties that they have. But I mean, there's Knights. There's just so many others.
Virtual Fighter.
Oh, yes.
Dude, it's crazy.
Daytona.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Could you imagine if the Daytona team, if there's a team, or the license for Daytona was given to Turn 10? Could you imagine? I mean, we got the Mr. Racer here. We're gonna get to him in a hot second. Could you imagine if Playground Games made a Daytona? Holy shit!
Arcade model, like a souped up arcade based.
What about Super GT?
Game.
Does anyone remember that? Does anyone remember Super GT from the arcades? It was $2 back in the day to play this game. You sat into like what it looked like to be a car. Could you imagine that coming back and Turn 10 or Playground getting their hands on that? Oh my, dude, it's crazy.
There's so many. I'm just pulling up now, but there's so many different franchises that they have. What was the one with you fly around as a dragon? What was that one?
And Dragoon, brother.
Yes, there you go.
Oh, dude, that is epic classic, man. Oh my. It's too much. It's too much to take for the heart. I'm going to be honest with you.
We're dreaming today. We're going to dream.
We're
big,
dreaming.
Right?
We're having some fun. We're dreaming. But
including Dreams is now a character. Yeah, Night.
Dreams is a character. That is correct. Absolutely. I still have the controller for that Saturn, which look like a spaceship. It almost looked like the Enterprise a little bit.
Yep.
Good take on it. Dreadpool, let's get your Sega talk on. This is something you're a Sega guy, and you've been dying to talk about it, which I'm happy to have you talk about. So, look, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. I know that we don't even have ABK yet. We don't know what the judge is going to happen, what she's going to rule on. It could be a disaster, right? But depending on who you talk to, maybe it makes Microsoft even more aggressive. I don't know. Again, I have concerns for the industry as a whole, not so much more just Microsoft, of what happens if this thing gets kiboshed. But let's just say, for shits and giggles, ABK's behind us. Microsoft gets the big W that they deserve, right? They're going to have next year that big integration thing with hey, meet the people from Bobby K will be gone. That guy would take his golden parachute and go F off somewhere. And they'll be under new management, and the workers will be a union. Many, many great things are going to happen. But Sega, in my opinion, after ABK, is even more attractive because of who Sega is, where Sega is, and their connection to mobile, which Microsoft will go, Dread, from having not even a fingerprint to having an entire handprint in the industry, giving Google and Apple, two scumbag companies, a run for their money when it comes to mobile and the way that they rake the people over the coals. Let's get your hot take on Sega.
All right. Well, first of all, we just brought up Angry Birds, right? That IP is huge. If you don't realize how huge it is, think about it. They made 2 movies. They've got a Netflix series. It's a well-known name, regardless of where the IP itself and the cell phone game is going. But you notice that they've also made changes now. So now they've got the microtransactions involved in it, which is why a lot of people kind of fell off from it, because you just paid for it once and you just kept on playing, or you play the free version that you had at that way back when. But when you look at it, it's like, okay, this is cell phone. Okay, that's another avenue into the cell phone market that they can get into. So Rovio, being part of Sammy and it's not really Sega, but Sammy, all right, cool. But remember way back when they were restructuring, you remember all that time? What did I say? They're looking to save
They're
every
prettying
nickel and
themselves up,
dime.
is what you said.
Yeah, trying to make themselves look more profitable. And at the same time, if they could accomplish that with their restructuring, they might not sell. They might not need to, because they fixed all the bloodletting that was going on within the company. So, but it's also prime real estate right there. Hey, look at how profitable we are right now. Let's see, who'll dip in. And they have a great relationship with Microsoft. So with Xbox themselves, they've helped out from the day one. How long have I said Series X was the Dreamcast 5? Right? I've been saying that for a long time. It's just another thing. They've helped out. The original Xbox has literally the bloodlines from the Sega Dreamcast days and their arcade units. So even though it's off the shelf parts, there's a lot of heritage there that's got the good cohesion between the two. And they've been nonstop partners in everything that they've done, if you think about it. So now, that being said, Mr. Beast was offered $1 billion for his whole empire. Right? $1 billion. Could you imagine an offer like that? And what did he do?
No, I cannot. And you know what's crazy? I never watched not one of his videos, because he's more of a younger audience kind of guy. I mean, I like his stuff. Like I've seen it from it, but I never really watched. Say, oh, look, Mr. Beast is on $1 billion.
Yes.
Wow. I mean,
and you know what he said? He said no.
He said, "Wow, because he makes too much money, dude." That's
he figured his company, and most people are like, why would you not sell? He figured his company is worth at least $10 billion.
Jesus. Wow.
Okay.
There's that.
And everything he takes in, he puts back out into his videos. He puts back out into the community. You know, and this is the same guy that's looking when he gets old enough, he's going to try to run for president, or so he said at the time. So, and this was what only a month ago, 2 months ago, he said that, I believe. So yet again, he wouldn't do
Dude, he
that
would
for that.
win. He would win hands down. Like
And-
if he honestly got into politics, which is gross and filthy, and I hate it, he would win in
Yeah.
the biggest way, landslide levels, dude.
You look at the name, just you know, when everybody talks about Jimmy, you know, most people that know Mr. Beast know who you're talking about. But for the rest of the world, they don't know anything about this. They just know Mr. Beast. And if he's also saying that, you know, in his presidential run, he's going to be giving all this money to charities that comes in. So he does all this stuff. Now, that you got to remember now, he still has money coming in. All right. Now, Sammy sells Sega. You have to look at it this way too. Will there be enough money to sell? Okay, well, that $1 billion was not enough for him to sell, and he's still doing all this goodwill. But he's a different person than Sammy is. Okay, Sammy is a company. They have investors. They have to see profit, not the immediate profit right now, but if they're bleeding still, they're going to take that money and run whatever Microsoft gives them, as long as it's good enough. Obviously, the $1 billion didn't work for Mr. Beast. Will the offer that Xbox and Microsoft presented Sammy will that be enough, or is it more of a joke, kind of like when they try to buy out Nintendo and just buy their way right in, you know, from the get-go, and got laughed at because, again, Nintendo was making so much money hand over fist. There was no way that there was enough money to sell. So again, will Sega be sold under this idea of, will there be enough money? So that's the unfortunate reality we have to think about, because as much as I want Sega to come over, we have to figure out, what does Sammy have as other investments? They got rid of their arcade division, right? And they separated it to get rid of it because it wasn't as profitable anymore. So I really want Microsoft and Xbox to offer a good amount of money that Sammy will be like, yeah, no problem, let's do this. So we have to remember that they have to figure out how much money is there that they will take and not laugh at them. And,
I don't think there would be a laugh. Because
well, not a
obviously,
laugh, but
yeah,
you don't want it to be an
I
insult.
think there would be. I mean, listen, the reality is that it would be a gamble for Microsoft as well, because even though Sega does have great IP and Sonic is doing great, they have not really been making out games. Like, for instance, the Persona series is epic, right?
Yep.
But it's also a very niche kind of a game. It sells 2 million copies, and that's considered great.
Yeah, so hopefully everything works out and Sammy has enough money from wherever else they have coming in, and they can just go ahead and take the money and run from Microsoft and Xbox and sell off everything that they have that's involved with Sega and even Romeo and all them.
Yeah.
And again, it opens up another avenue. So it's not just the console version stuff. You have your mobile version stuff, because a lot of the old Sega games are on mobile right now. They were offering a whole bunch of that, the old games, Altered Beast, for free.
Yep.
So if you're going to put it on Android, and you can have it and you can play these games for free, download them and put them on your emulators and do all this stuff, no matter, because the files are so small. I mean, think about that. That's not a bad idea when you have all that, and then now you can incorporate that into a cell phone game. That opens up even more. So it's not just consoles or PCs. It's not all these newer IPs. It's some of the older IPs, and then you bring them back. That opens up a lot. So that's, I'm hoping that this would be the way to go, is to get Sega. We've wanted this for a long time, but again, like I said, if the money's not enough, depending on what they're making, and what they got to look at their profits. They got to look at what else is coming in after they sell Sega. So,
they're gonna have money coming in left, right, and center. Remember, there is a way around selling That's the thing. They may not have to sell. They may just still own the company, but the controlling vision of the company could be Microsoft, who gets 50%, or maybe it's 50-50. Maybe Microsoft buys 51% and invests into the company, and they could invest $5 billion. You get Sega to get an injection of cash of $5 billion.
I love that idea.
And Sammy could just be another publishing company where they still rack in the money.
Yep.
That's their foot in the door. So there's many different avenues that this could still happen. It's just let's kind of think about it. Let's not be too out there with our wishes and hopes and dreams.
It's again, we're just having
I
a
have been for a
conversation.
long time.
Yeah.
I have been for a long time wishful thinking. And it's just when I saw the Mr. Beast thing, I started thinking back a little bit and trying to put a little bit more perspective on this, because sometimes, we get carried away with our ideas and wants and needs. And then sometimes we have to, somebody has to smack us in the face and put us back in place. And that was one of the things that got me to sit down and think about it a little bit more. So again, it's just not saying I don't want it. I want it. I just have to be more accepting that it may not happen.
Well, I mean, listen, at this point, let's, because I know Wade Johnson it says in the chat, sounds like we're already moving on from ABK. No, we're certainly not. No. We ABK is the prize. That is what is the most important thing right now. But we're at a holding pattern. We just don't know. The judge is going to take her time, and I've heard people say, "Oh, how come she's taking so much time?" I think people have to understand, and I've heard this. I don't remember who said this to me. You'd rather a slow yes than a fast no. So, I mean, she's obviously putting everything together. This is a $69 billion deal. This is huge. There's a lot to go. I mean, remember, Microsoft, the FTC wanted this trial done in 2 days. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
And Microsoft said, no, we want 5. We want addition so we can give you all the evidence. And the FTC, what did they do? They tried to block that. The judge was like, absolutely not. Well, you know what? 5 days sounds great. Granted. And that's because they wanted to tell their side of the story. They didn't want anything to be rushed. So with that said, just imagine you're the judge. You have 6 million documents. You have a very lengthy 8-hour day of closing arguments, and then on Friday they had to give all of their behind-the-scenes stuff that the lawyers do. It's a lot. So remember, she said it. She wasn't even taking vacation. Everyone out partying and having hot dogs and hamburgers, and she's just going over this case. So if it comes down later today after the markets close, so be it. The latest, folks, and if you're not sure where this is going, the latest her decision can come down is Monday. And the reason why that is because Microsoft, by law, must wait 5 days, 5 full business days to close. And she's aware of the July 18th date. Now, she could waive that. Yeah. She, if it takes a little longer, she's like, hey, listen, I'm waiving the 5 days. I'm not doing the PI. You guys can close tomorrow. That's what Microsoft will ultimately do. And then what that does is they have to the CAT and the CMA are going to have to figure out what they're going to do next, because they're going to close over them or close with them. Either or, they're closing. So hopefully today's the day we find out that she did not issue the injunction, because there wasn't a case for it, and then Microsoft could close 5 days from today, which would be Friday of next week. But Fuzzy Belvedere, let's get your Sega talk on, and of course, I made mention of Sega GT. Web Dave talked about Daytona. I mean, these are legendary racing IPs. They're arcade IPs. We know that Playground Games make an arcade racer in Horizon. It would be pretty freaking epic if between the next Forza Horizon and the next Forza Motorsport that you got a Daytona from scratch made by this team. Oh my God, dude, that would be bonkers. post ABK in the positive, is Sega still important to Microsoft?
I believe so. I think there's a few things at play when it comes to Sega. Like you said, with Daytona, Super GT, the Sega Rally, there's a lot of things that they can mix into, whether it be Forza Horizon or its own thing that, they either work with Playground or Turn 10 for their physics model and things along those lines, or the realistic environments that Playground is known for. But outside of the racing genre, you also have things like Altered Beast. Like I've said this before, kind of jokingly, but somewhat serious as well. I would love to see a reimagined Altered Beast where it's kind of like a werewolf or like maybe a druid transformation thing where you go through. It's kind of like a third person over the shoulder RPG kind of deal, where you level up your character and you can change into various other forms to fight these ultimate bosses and things like that, and bring it into 2023 per se. There's also one of my favorite flight simulator or during the time of Top Gun video games, which was Afterburner and Afterburner 2.
Oh my God,
Like
wow. Yeah,
that was like the perfect game around that time. I mean, yes, we have Top Gun incorporated in flight sim, but to have that type of flight combat, whether it's arcade or go full on sim, like some of the F-15 Eagle PC games that we used to have. I forget the name of the company now, but have something along those lines. Like Sega has a boatload of IP that they've been kind of sitting on. And sure, arcades aren't as popular as they once were, but much like even Dreadpool had mentioned, a lot of their games are offered on Android now. What a perfect way to have a pretty much a back catalog built into your phone store or mobile store with those games, as well as original Xbox IPs and so forth. Or take our even bigger dream, whether it's like a Smash Brothers esque type game or Mario Kart esque type game with all the IP characters between Sega and Xbox. That would be like the ultimate fan service kind of game that they could make, or incorporate that into one versus 100 kind of thing or something. But there's just so much potential with Sega, and the bloodline, much like Dave was saying, is pretty much overlap for decades. Like it's a continuation to some extent, tech wise and software wise, of the Dreamcast. As far as the Dreamcast had Microsoft kind of like a light Windows OS on it, and they've kind of incorporated that throughout the Xbox console history. One of the first consoles to go online with a network cable and things along those lines. So there's a lot of history there. So having a beyond just the strategic partnership that they have now, making it kind of putting a ring on it, let's say, would be a perfect
talk about
thing
that.
to
Put that
have
ring
as
on that
far as-
finger, damn it.
I mean, there's so many gaps that they would fill as far as having Sega in or under that same umbrella. As far as platformers, you have the characters for that. I mean, ABK also has a platformer characters, or a couple of them as well, but that would just be a powerhouse across the board as far as for a subscription service to have a whole bunch of genres covered from a whole bunch of regions covered, and also a mobile store incorporated into that. I think it would really give the App Store and the Play Store a bit of a run for their money, and maybe level things out. Maybe you wouldn't have as much conversation in the EU about the duopoly and stuff like that, but having a third contender in there. And Epic is chomping at the bit to kind of get Fortnite back in to some sort of mobile store to have direct access to their customers.
Could you imagine if the Microsoft app, whatever it's going to be for mobile, they team up with Epic and you get Fortnite in there? I mean, dude, that is going to immediately move the needle when it comes to that so-called duopoly in the UK, which is it's just allowed to oh no, it's okay. They own it. Don't even fight. That's fine. It's dumb. It's ridiculous.
No, but it would be like the perfect storm, let's say. I mean, there's a lot of smaller studios in between there, but as far as publishers go, I think Sega would be the best fit. And as far as like an offer, I think Microsoft would be willing to extend or maybe even overpay, kind of like the way Sony did for Bungie, to kind of get that, not necessarily the expertise, but to get that within their wheelhouse as far as those IPs, some of the tech, some of the development studios and things along those lines. I think it would be worth, the extra billions that they may have to pay to convince the parties that, it's a worthwhile venture at that point. The shareholders would be chopping at the bit at that point. But yeah, I hope that's one of the first plays that they make. I don't expect it to be for probably a year. They're probably going to cool their jets and work on the integration to ABK in the meantime. All things permitted. But as far as their next big move, I think Sega is definitely in the sights as far as what Microsoft is looking for.
Yeah, I agree. I think it hits a lot. It checks a lot of boxes. But of course, this is just hypothetical Sega talk. We didn't get a chance to finish that, and obviously Dreadpool wanted to drop his opinion on it, and that that's what we did to open up the show. We got to talk about these Call of Duty numbers, folks. But before we get to that, I have to read the super chats. Been a ton of them, so of course, thank you for the incredible generosity. Raiden Blade drops a very generous £5 super chat and says, "Boom, best eggs, 2 eggs, 1 yolk, strong cheese. Keep your cholesterol low, 30-minute speed walk twice a day, and a cold shower in the morning plus fruit juice." I check a lot of those boxes off. Mrs. Boom and I, as you know, we do the big hikes over the weekend. The weather has not been cooperating, which kind of sucks. So we haven't really done it. Usually we do our 5-mile walks. So we get up at 5. We're out the door at 5:15 a.m. and we're on the trails. It's amazing. We're gonna get back to that. Cholesterol, thankfully, I don't have an issue with cholesterol, which I don't really eat fried foods. I don't put salt on anything. Really, I'm not bland, but I like spices. I don't like just salt. Salt to me is gross. And in regards to the juice, yeah, I do drink that, but I drink a lot of water, all day long. Especially like this, this is like the stuff the Stop and Shop sells. It's really good. I wish they'd sponsor me because I buy so much of it. It's crazy, and it's carbonated, but it has nothing in it. It's no sugars, no nothing, so it's great. But thank you for the super chat, Raiden Blade. And thank you for the health advice. We're gonna continue the Pilates. Which, obviously, the first week starts Monday. Today, I did a few exercises the last couple of days, but I'm really gonna hit the mat, so to speak, starting Monday. My favorite USO drops a very generous $10 super chat. And he says, "It's my very first ever super chat. Goes to you. Love the show. Boom. Finally get to catch a light." Brother, that is very kind of you. The kind words are worth $1 million, but the generosity is extremely, we're grateful for it, brother. Thank you for that. And of course, thank you for listening to the show. Thanaros drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Does anyone find it strange that Sega acquired Rovio? It's like they are preparing for something. I mean, if you want to put on a tinfoil hat, I got one extra here to put on your head, and I think that he's onto something. It's very suspicious. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's like, hey, we're going to close this deal. We're going to get King. By the way, Sega, we're going to acquire you, but while we're waiting, go get Rovio. It's too perfect, is what it is." Michael Mooney drops very generous £5 super chat and says, "Based on the ABK deal premium, Sega should be about 7 to 7.3 billion. Yeah, they're currently under 5 now, so maybe. But like I said, that's to buy it outright. I don't think Microsoft even has to do that. They simply just have to invest in Sega, take a controlling share, and what that does is that there's no regulator talk. That's it. It's they put the money in, Sega sold the shares, Microsoft bought it. That's it. It's done. So we'll see which way they go. Dean Rivera drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I think Sega bought Rovio in order to add value to their stock, in order to potentially be purchased by someone." I mean, it certainly makes good business sense. We have James Gibson. James, good morning, brother, and welcome to the program. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says he's from New York and New Jersey. Community lost a bro 2 days ago in the the two firemen that passed away in the line of duty during that that ship fire with all those the 5,000 cars. Yeah, that's very sad. He goes, I live in Miami, but made us bros. Yeah, I mean, it's always sad to see someone pass away in the line of duty. It's a risk. These jobs are risky, folks. It doesn't matter whether you're a first responder. You're going into it, man. And I give the fire guys even more credit than I give myself because, yeah, sure, I ran when there's a gun run, I ran to it. I didn't even think twice about it because, you don't want to get hurt, but sometimes you do. But firemen run into the fire, and that's how these poor firemen passed away. So, of course, hearts and go out to them and the family. Anyone that's a firefighter understands how difficult a loss of this magnitude is. Thank you, James, for reminding us of how important it is to support our local heroes, your firemen, your first responders. You're safe because of them. But thank you, James, for that. Let's get into these Call of Duty numbers. Now, this was posted yesterday by Derek Strickland. I think you know who Derek is. He sometimes rubs the Xbox community in the worst way possible. He is Tweaktown's PR guy. He's also a game editor, news analyst, and game industry. He does finance, stuff like that. Derek is a part of the industry, whether you love him, you hate him, whatever. But he again, sometimes he rubs the Xbox community the wrong way. I don't take it personal. It's just his opinion. So sometimes I just laugh at him. But he did post some crazy Call of Duty numbers. So what I want to pull up first is obviously everything Call of Duty is the biggest part of this deal. It's not, and I'm going to tell you the active users by platform. He put it's crazy. It is crazy, folks. He says this on a tweet. Put together some data based on the Activision CEO Bobby Kotick's testimony on Call of Duty MAUs and DAUs, which of course is monthly and daily active users. And let's start with Call of Duty active users, DAUs by platform. Now, this is the daily, folks. This is daily use. Every day, Monday to 7 days a week, this is the daily use. So the least used platform is Xbox at 5.6%, of 5.6, which comes to equates to 8%, according to his chart, followed by PlayStation, right? 11.2, and according to his chart, 16%. So you're like, wait a second. Wait just a second, Boom. What you're telling me is Xbox and PlayStation only equate 24% of the daily users of Call of Duty. Where is everybody? Well, I'm going to tell you where everybody is right now. On PC is 25%. PC exploding on the scene. Makes perfect sense why Microsoft wants this company, because they don't have any real stake in PC. But this is where it gets bonkers, folks. 51% of current everyday Call of Duty users play on mobile. More than half, 51%. That is, if you would have said, hey, Boom, take a guess on these four, I would have maybe had mobile at 2 behind PlayStation at number 1. 51%. But it gets even more crazy because here's another stat. Let me pull this up right now. This is the one I dropped in moments ago to the chat. Now, this is monthly active users, folks. And just for numbers' sake, it's, again, when you break it down like this, it goes to show you, firstly, how big gaming is ultimately, but how minuscule Xbox has a stake in gaming compared to everyone else. Like, we are all Xbox fans and we're eating good and they're making money hand over fist. But if you add Activision to Microsoft, you're going to see a change in the industry where people are going to be like, I'm not paying $76.43 to PlayStation anymore. I'm going to play an Xbox. I'm telling you. But check out these numbers, folks. This, again, crazy. So the least played, we know, is Xbox. 7.84 million monthly active users for Call of Duty. And I'm like, wow, that's just crazy. That's a lot of people, because I know I'm not one of them. I don't play Call of Duty. I play Halo, right? PlayStation, right? We know how important PlayStation Call of Duty is for PlayStation. 15.68 million players per month on PlayStation. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people playing on PlayStation. Well, those numbers aren't shit. Check this out, folks. PC per month, according to the chart, nearly 25 million players, almost double what plays, almost double, and nearly over triple what you play on Xbox. But you know how many people play monthly on mobile? Like, I play the Marvel card game every day, which is a great. I love it. I love Magic the Gathering. I love card games, so it's great for me. But I would never play like a shooter on mobile. Well, apparently it's a thing, folks. 50 million people per month play this one game. This isn't like a vast blanket over the market. This is one freaking game. And this is not cloud. This is mobile gaming. 50 million people play Call of Duty per month. Dave, these numbers are crazy. And it really does, like, if you were like not sure why Microsoft was so damn willing to spend $70 billion, here's the numbers for one title. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, it's I mean, Phil said it, and a lot of people dismissed it when he said it. This deal is about mobile. Mobile is where the future of gaming money is. Now, we're hardcore gamers. I hasten to say every single one of us are. That are well, maybe I'm not as hardcore as most, but I love playing games a lot. It means a lot to me. I enjoy it. It's my favorite hobby next to podcasting. It is absolutely it's what we love to do. And for us, to play on mobile because of the high-end TVs and the 4K and a 75-inch TV and all this kind of stuff that's like, wow, look how big and amazing it is, and then to go down to just a little phone and be like, ugh, but sometimes it's just it merits it, like if you're out somewhere, or you're in a doctor's office waiting for your visit, whatever you got to be doing, or you're waiting for your wife to do some shopping. Sorry, didn't mean to be stereotypical, but
it happens, brother. Listen, I mean, like me, I enjoy it, but not everyone enjoys the shopping. Like, people like the most guys. What do most guys do when you go shopping with your wife? You find a chair and you plop your ass in it and you sit there as she does her thing. See, I'm different because I really enjoy shopping, especially with Mrs. Boom. She's my best friend, so
of course
we have a so. But so you see, to your point,
yeah.
The average player, what are they going to do, Dave? They're going to go shopping with the missus. They're going to plop their ass in the chair, and they're going to play what? One of these games.
Right. Exactly. That's the point. Is mobile is big. It really is big. And like I said, and it really infuriates me when there's people out there that are like, mobile gaming. If you're not a gamer, if you play on a phone, you're insane. And the numbers back it up. And Microsoft's like going, okay, cool. We'll take that money anyway. So that's and the thing is, the cool thing about Microsoft is that they're going to get this company. They're going to get mobile. They're going to have all this influx of money And they're not just going to do more mobile, which they will do. They'll invest heavily into mobile with their franchises because that makes sense. But it's good for us as the hardcore console gamer, PC gamer, high-end gaming, because they'll have the money and the resources to invest back in those studios to make these mega games to hopefully get a bigger piece of the console market. You know, they don't want to stay at number 3. They want to eventually
Yep.
be number 1. I mean, you know, whether they're going to get there, I don't know. I hope so, because I believe that the company is better suited for the you know, for the way it treats its consumers and the, you know, the benefits that we get, and you know, and they realize that, and that's why they're, you know, they're working hard. You know, that's what breeds competition. When you compete and you really get down to it, great things happen, like Game Pass, which is good for everybody. So, you know, I think I kind of want to stray from the subject. And on a side note, after COVID, my wife, she's also works in a hospital, so she, like, you know, had to mask up all day, every day to work as a pharmacy technician for 30 plus years. She's done it. And so when it came time to, you know, going shopping, in fact, at first the mandate was they couldn't even go into a grocery store in uniform because it upset people
Yeah,
to see
I believe
somebody,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where, unfortunately, she's like, she doesn't like to go shopping anymore. That's now my job. I do all the grocery shopping, all the whatever shopping. The only time she'll go is if she needs to go to a craft store. Damn it. But yeah, so I mean, so that's what it is. And I still got to mow the grass too. You know, this doesn't really work out in my favor, but I'm just saying. But yeah, so there is time when I'm not shopping for the family that I do get to play games. So, but yeah, it's you know, mobile is really, it's growing so big, and
It's
those
bonkers how
numbers,
big it's gotten, dude. Like
those
it
numbers
has
back
been.
it up.
It's one of the biggest growing markets in the world. Like I'm not just laser focused on gaming. It's one of the biggest
Hmm.
and consistent growing markets, because what? Everyone has freaking phones. Everyone has these supercomputers. The kids come out of the womb holding a cell phone saying, "Yeah, don't tell me anything. I know how to work it.
Yeah,
Where's my
pretty
front
much.
spot? Where's my 6 figures?" Right out of the womb, right? So everyone has a phone, and people like to spend money. And when you're playing a game that you really like, Dave, like I play Marvel Snap, and I buy the pass every month. In fact, I buy the extended pass, like $15 a month they get out of me. And I don't normally buy anything else. I'm not a whale, so I don't. Oh, look at that car. Let me buy that. Nah, I don't do any of that stuff. I
Yeah.
just but they get $15 a month out of me, and it's because I really like Marvel Snap. It is
Oh yeah.
freaking phenomenal.
On a side note, Red Monkey Butt said, Dave, you need grocery delivery. I haven't been shopping in 5 years. I do like getting out of the house every now and again. So
Yeah,
sometimes
I
I
mean,
just
I
don't want to go
we,
alone.
we
But
order from
that's all.
Stop and Shop, but it's expensive. You know,
Yeah, definitely,
it's $15
definitely.
delivery, and whatever.
Yep. So, but it's a good point. But I'll continue to go to the store. I can do that. I can get out, get some exercise for this fat guy. Sorry.
No, listen, Dave. I mean, fantastic points as always. And I think you're definitely onto something. But outside of grocery shopping, because grocery shopping is boring. I do it a couple days a week because obviously my back isn't the greatest, so I don't
Right.
do these monster shopping. So I go a couple of days a week. I'm always talking to Kay Asante. I'm like, "Hey, Kay, I'm going to call you back. I'm online at Stop and Shop. It's
That's
hilarious."
so funny.
But Edwin Garcia drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, "A Sonic game made with a Microsoft budget would be great." Yeah, well, you know what? If we say the S word 2 more times, we're going to get a visit from Everborn, which is always great. But obviously he could be the Candyman, so just take it easy. No, it's absolutely. I agree. I think a big budgeted Sonic game, which Sonic Generations is, they have so many great games, and the new Sonic, which the people are calling the chunky Sonic. I'm buying that on both platforms.
Looks awesome.
It looks really, really good. Looking forward to that. Let's bring in Dreadpool on this conversation. Dread, look, these numbers are just bonkers. But I think where I'm really taken aback is PC is big. I would have never guessed that PC, even though it has more players, and there's no doubt there are more players than all three platforms, Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox combined. That's a fact. We know that that's an absolute fact. But I would have never guessed that Call of Duty was that big. I would have thought that for sure behind mobile would have been PlayStation. Turns out that not only is it number two, but mobile, more than 51% of the market is Call of Duty. And that to me, the amount of players, 50 million players per month, is bonkers. It makes total sense why Microsoft wants in on this.
Yes. Okay. So it definitely makes sense because you look at it when you look at the market. If they get Call of Duty just from ABK alone, right, that jumps up their market share. So when you look at it and you're like, okay, well they're at 8%, PC's at 25%. It more than doubled their share from PlayStation to include PC, and now you're including mobile alone. It's still more than 51%. So just that alone as a Call of Duty platform, they're going to be owning the whole market basically when you look at it like that. So it's kind of like a bad light, but you also notice where's Nintendo on this? Where's the other platforms? So mobile, what is it? How much is Android? How much is, what I mean? They're collecting it as a whole, and then PC. Okay, they're doing different markets as if it's one piece, and yet they split up console markets. You know what I mean? So you're splitting up different ones, and this is all again based on Excel files. That you're using a pie chart. You leave out certain things, and certain numbers look better or worse. Which again shows right here. That there's so many different avenues that you can do, but for on the Microsoft side, Xbox side, you're looking at a huge jump in revenue. You're looking at a huge jump in reach. And if you can go from mobile to PC and Xbox and keep your same character or your same stats, not character, but you know what I mean, the stats and your levels, that's a huge benefit. Now you can play anywhere you want. You can do anything you want. You're not limited. And on top of that, you got to think about this. We're streaming involved in this because you got the NVIDIA, you got the Blastroid, and you got or Boostroid, right?
Yeah, Boostroid. Yep.
So you got all these different avenues. It changes up the outlook on how everything is, and you really have to fine tune and break these up in their own little categories, and then put them together to actually see the true definition. Because again, what is considered mobile? When they go to Nintendo with Call of Duty, is that going to be considered mobile, or is that going to be considered console, or is it going to be considered Nintendo? You see what I'm saying? There's so many different aspects here, or is it going to be considered streaming? What part of that?
I would think that it would be strictly those numbers from
Well, it should be Nintendo.
Would be just be Nintendo. Yeah,
right. It should be Nintendo, but what happens when you start streaming? Right. So,
yeah.
Like I said, NVIDIA, when you start streaming from NVIDIA, that falls under PC, right? So what happens if you start streaming?
No, that would be, I would think, again, this is just my opinion. I think that when you stream from NVIDIA, that would be considered the cloud.
Right. But it's also PC.
Yeah.
So again, it's the terminology you're using, the references you're using it as, because you're literally streaming from a PC to your whatever device you're streaming it to. So now you're saying, okay, cloud. Okay, Xbox is also streaming your games from Xbox consoles, right? So again, it depends on the definition. That's why a lot of times I say there's not enough breakdown. It's just a clump of some together, and this is what we're calling it. That's why I'd like to have more breakdowns and clarity between all this stuff. This is why I want to see more than just, okay, the mobile market. Well, What constitutes mobile? The fact that you're playing on a cell phone? Okay, that's cool. But can we break that down even further so we know a little bit more of what is in here? So we know how this breaks down. Again, because PlayStation could be, the whole PlayStation just the generation of PlayStation 5. It could be 4, 3, and so forth. So what are we considering here? So that's what I'm trying to get at, is we need more information. This is useful information, don't get me wrong, but it just shows you how much that they're looking at when they see this, and they know, okay, on the PC side, because Xbox is PC and PC is Xbox, right? So right there, we just doubled the PlayStation. Now, if we get mobile, we just took more than 3/4. We took quite literally what?
Well, I mean, it would be money coming in. Like, for instance,
Yeah.
If Call of Duty is associated with Microsoft, and this is where, as someone that is interested in more than plastic box war talk, right? Like, I'm interested in what I find fascinating about the ABK deal is, as an Xbox fan, right? We know that currently, with the way that it's a Game Pass is set up, we're getting all first party games. That's the lock. That's confirmed. We get an astounding amount of third party, second party, and of course indies in Game Pass. Why I'm so interested and so for the ABK deal is because when you look at what Dreadpool is saying in regards to these numbers, the inflow or the influx of revenue that is going to be now a part of Microsoft's quarter every time that they have to report on this. What that allows is for someone like me who has an obsession, a love for Banjo-Kazooie, right? So if they're making all of this money, and if metrics are no longer, we have to sell X amount of million of X amount of game to make X amount of money, we just have to put it in Game Pass, and we're going to get immediately, potentially, right now, currently, 30 million eyes on it, but maybe it's 50. Maybe it's 100 million eyes on it. And you keep putting games into, I said this yesterday, the lifeblood of Game Pass is the games. So if you can take more creative risks on bringing out a Banjo-Kazooie remake of the OG N64 one, because the money that is coming in for something like Call of Duty Mobile is literally hands over fist.
See, and that's the beauty of this, right? When you look at that market share, you look at the different areas of revenue that everything's coming in from, right? Now you can take those risks because now it mitigates all that, because now it's, what do we talk about as content creators? Diversification, right? Getting our content out there in different areas, get not utilizing just YouTube as the only means of income, not using a certain thing, right? They talk about this in business school. You have to figure out, you don't rely on one particular product, but this one particular product for Microsoft and Xbox will open up avenues for the risk taking to do that, to put those games in there, right? So now when you're doing that, what happened with, I don't know, Stadia? Nothing. Why? They even
Stadia
admitted it.
failed
We
because
did
Stadia
not
couldn't get
have.
content, and they
Yeah,
didn't want to invest. Yep.
they didn't have the content. They were relying on everybody to switch over to their software to put on their platform, and they were doing unique stuff that nobody else was doing at the time, and it made sense, but they were heavily relying on it. And if developers are not using the tools, then you're not going to get the best performance out of that platform, right? We talk about that all the time with Xbox. Why are they not using the tools, right? The best tools ever used for the PlayStation 5 was on Astrobot, right? Not a lot of the other games are using all of the tools that you can use for that controller. So when you look at it, okay, well, where's this? Where's that? Where's this? Where's that? And this is what happened with Stadia. They relied too much on going on this, and they fell apart because they did not have enough of their own content. But when you do, and this is what Microsoft is betting on with Xbox, to have enough content that they can actually open up and do more. What do you think Epic is doing? Right? Epic and EA, they've allowed for smaller creators to put stuff out there, right? EA's got Yarn. What was it, Yarny or and
Are you talking
did
about EA? Yeah, it's
EA.
Yarny. We're talking about
Yarny.
the
The
they
Yarn
had
game.
1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah, so they did that, right? And they allowed these smaller games to flourish, and they were able to make them profitable. So again, this is what Microsoft is doing too. They're opening it up for these smaller games, and Banjo-Kazooie is one of the big ones that Boom wants. That's the one a lot of us want. Boom's like the biggest supporter of Banjo-Kazooie comeback, but where's that risk going to be if you don't have enough money to mitigate that risk? So you have to make sure that everything is in line. Right. Wait a second. Didn't I just talk about that with Sega and Sammy, making sure that everything mitigates that risk of selling off? It's the same scenario, same here. It's just another avenue of where you're going. Yes, thank you. That's the other one I was thinking of. It Takes Two. That was another one that I was going to bring up. Without that risk for them to put that out there, they wouldn't have been able to do that, and they took that risk, and because they had money coming in, and this is I just said Epic. So again, we need content, and this is what we're getting. We're getting content, and hopefully this opens up for more content where we can get some of these smaller games. Remember Crazy Taxi? Remember, the old
they're
Sega
currently
games
working
we
on that
brought up?
supposedly. One of the big Sega games. Yeah.
And then that's what we want. We want them to be able to take risks. We want them to do something different and not just be and that's what they're trying to do. They're diversifying their game library, right? Because everybody's like, well, what do we need? What was that? Super's Lucky's Tale. It was Lucky's Tale, then Super's Lucky Tale.
I beat both of them. I love them.
Why would they do that? It's to bring in the smaller, the
younger
newer
audience,
kids,
man. You got to bring it. You got to bring in the families. That's right.
So that's why you do this. You diversify your content. And this is the whole thing about this. It's not just about Call of Duty or streaming or any of the stuff that everybody else keeps on using as a catchphrase, as the end all be all why this is happening. There's more to it, and that's what I'm getting at when I was saying with the pie chart. There's more to this. I want to see more breakdowns. We need to see more information. This is why we want more variety of content to allow game publishers, right? Hi-Fi Rush, we didn't know anything about that, and that thing popped from a developer that was making horror games. And it's not a horror game. They were allowed to do whatever they wanted, right? Bleeding Edge was one of those games that failed. It was a side project that some people liked, most people didn't. But again, it allowed them to take that risk. What's the next risk? What's the next risk, right? Ninja Theory. They took that risk with Senua Saga. Oh, what happened now? We got a new one coming out, even bigger and better. So again, it's all about making the right choices, and that's what we want.
Listen, hopefully those choices. I'm looking
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Listen, let's bring in Fuzzy Belvedere to talk about this, because I'm sorry if I started for a second. Someone just put in the chat, have you seen the ABK tweet? Not really. Lee Carnwell. I mean, drop it into did they tweet about something? Because I haven't seen it, and I'm looking. I haven't seen anyone. I always go right to Foss to see what he says, so I'll go looking for it. But Fuzzy, are you surprised by these numbers? Because to be honest with you, these numbers are so large that you thought you could make the mistake that we're talking about a platform or a group of games. This is one freaking game. And if Microsoft acquires said game, we're going to see potentially a lot of risky plays in development, maybe even risky plays into more acquisitions, especially when you consider that there's an Asobo out there. and Avalanche Studios and a bunch of IO Interactive that just happened to make a new studio in London, and I don't know, Sarah Bond's talking about it. I'm a breadcrumbs kind of a guy. I like to follow them, and sometimes you're disappointed. I don't think we're going to be here. Talk about it.
Well, with the numbers for Call of Duty just in itself, I wouldn't have believed them if it wasn't for my kids early on when they were playing Call of Duty on their phones and they were doing the whole claw thing. If you're a parent and you have kids that play on their mobile phone, you just ask them about the claw. It's a weird way of holding their cell phone to play those games, but they were playing Call of Duty on their Xbox, and as a reward for them doing good in school, we built them gaming rigs. Now they're not high powered like Dad's PC or anything. 1080p machines, something that was rewarding for them, but within reason, didn't break the bank or anything. And all those times of them playing on their Xbox and wanting to get the latest Call of Duty or even the latest Battlefield for it, once they got those PCs, the Xbox doesn't get turned on for those fast twitch shooters or anything along those lines. Like, even if it's graphically better on the console compared to because they're just 1080p machines with 1660 supers in them, they prefer the fluidity of like 120 or 144 frames with their the monitor that's able to put that out at that speed and stuff in comparison. Now, yeah, you could do the 100, I think it's 120 frames mode now, but like at the time when they were first getting those PCs, they would play the phone during their lunch breaks or in between classes, because they would go between college and the high school midday, so they would have time on the bus to play those Call of Duty games as far as on their phone. But once they got home, it was mainly on their PC. So I can understand those numbers as far as what the younger crowd, a lot more that have PCs or playing on PC or prefer it on PC in comparison. And the mobile phone, I mean, whether you're in line at the grocery store, at the dealership waiting on service for your vehicle, or or waiting for the bus, or whatever the case may be, the phones are always portable and easy to grab onto and play whatever game you want while you wait. Can't really do that with your PC or your console, although you can kind of make the Series S kind of portable, but those numbers are phenomenal. And
I mean, you could buy a ROG Ally, which I highly recommend doing, because this guy is not a PCMR kind of a dude, and that thing is just a monster. Like, man, shout out to Everborn Saga, who sold me his second one, which is why I currently own it, because it was a deal I could not pass up. And yeah, it's going to be my portable Starfield machine. So when I'm waiting for Mrs. Boom to come out of work, I'm rocking that bad boy. There's no doubt about it.
And see, that's the thing, kind of like what Dreadpool was saying. It would be nice if we had a better breakdown as far as these different categories, because there's Steam, there's Epic as far as when it comes to PC, there's GOG or Good Old Games as well. So there's a lot of stores where you can get these, or you can get them direct from the publishers themselves. You got the iOS store, you got the Android store. So there's definitely a need to list how those are broken up, but just the sheer fact that mobile is that big of a chunk for that game, it flies in the face, kind of like what Dave was saying, for anybody that says that if you play on your phone, you're not a gamer or not a true gamer. It's like, well, I think half the world would disagree with that sentiment. But
if I don't want to call names, but if you think, look, have your opinion. Have your opinion. If you believe that, if you are ultimately like, hey man, if you're not playing on a $5,000 rig, you're a peasant. You're dumb. And the numbers prove that you're dumb, because 51% of people are playing Call of Duty on their freaking phones, bro. Crazy, just crazy.
It's good to see that it's that active of a user base. I would also like to see how it divvies up internationally as well. And if ABK, we get that news later today or Monday, and that's a wrap, man, that's going to bode well for all of us that are fans of Game Pass or fans of Microsoft as far as gaming is concerned, because they'll be able to reinvest that hopefully in some stagnant or stale or long missing IPs that need some more time or development. So good to see.
Well, look, we still got to talk about Capcom, but I want to pause the footage in front of you for just a hot second, and I want to bring up the tweet that everyone is now seems to be making the rounds. This was okay. So let me just share the screen. Let me bring this up. Hold on a sec, folks. Get ready to be amazed now. Okay, now I know that you see what I see. This is. Can I make this full screen? How the hell do I make this full screen?
Yeah, click on the actual tweet itself.
Okay, hold on. Let me guess. Let me hold on a sec. Let me just make this full screen. Okay, look, at the end of the day, folks, Activision Blizzard literally tweeted this. This is now 19 minutes ago. Very quietly says this is what pure confidence looks like, and it's hashtag Crash Bandicoot. Now, look, I don't know what this means. You can run wild with it. You can turn around and say, boom, I have no freaking idea what is happening here. I just find it very suspicious that this is actually something that they would tweet. So,
Hey,
look,
Boom, if you looked
Yes,
at
sir.
that tweet, when you just had up on your screen, if you scroll down who made extra comments, Lulu made a comment too. So she's actively jumping on that. Nothing. There's nothing like breaking, but the fact that this is definitely something that I think that they're anticipating some things to happen, and they're starting
well,
to.
Lulu Chang, who
Hmm.
we all love
Oh
and
yes,
respect, and she is amazing, times 10, wrote Riz. I don't know what that means. Maybe because I'm a knucklehead. What she wrote Riz. What does it mean, folks? Tell me. I don't know. But Post Up, a very good friend, I would consider him extended family because we love Post Up. He
yes.
wrote, no, not the Riz with laughing emojis. So I'm just old and I don't get it, but it's fine because it, to me, I don't know if you're out here tweeting if like would you put out this tweet from Activision Blizzard about this is what pure confidence looks like if you haven't just heard that they're going to allow the deal to go through. And then of course Lulu, who has been in the trenches since inception of this thing, goes and just puts out Riz, and Post Up obviously responds. I'm getting more excited by the minute. I hope that my excitement doesn't turn to tears because I'm really not going to cry, but I'm going to be very disappointed because not so much they didn't get it. My look, folks, if you've been following me for a while, there are two things for me as a human being that were instilled into me by my pops, who is my ultimate hero. That is honor and integrity. My sense of justice is very high. Now, it's a high pedestal that I am willing to stand on because I think justice has to become in every form for every person, regardless of race, creed, sexual orientation, religion, whatever. It doesn't matter. If you're a human being, you deserve justice. So I have a very high moral compass. Looking at the way the FTC has done some really filthy, dirty governmental things, and the way that Sony has just conducted themselves in just the most dishonorable way possible, it sickens me as a justice fearing human who upheld the law for 21 years of my life to see something like this fall to the wayside because of filthy tactics. And I'm hoping that I'm not disappointed and that my faith in justice does not waver. And I'm sorry, and I know it's going a little bit, maybe too left to too much to the left for you, or too right for you, whichever one you want to pick. But I have a very high moral compass, and I'm all about what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. And this deal passing, there's nothing wrong with the deal. We as consumers, as a retired guy who has a pension that's great, but has a limit and has a ceiling, like everyone's pay, wants to see more value come to Xbox Game Pass and my preferred platform, which is Xbox. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But with that said, I want to move on to the final topic of the show, folks. Capcom. One of my favorite for me, the top publisher of all time. I absolutely adore Capcom. I have been a fan since the NES days when we used to get Sunset Riders and things of that nature on there. Final Fights, Ghost and Goblins, Strider, most recently Resident Evil 4 remake. We obviously have this month the Mech Dinosaur game coming out into Game Pass day and date. There's also another new IP that Microsoft made a deal somehow with Capcom to get in day and date in Game Pass. Crazy. Well, they had their investors meeting yesterday, folks, and again, like I'm a fan of Capcom, so when I start to see some talk of one of the, if you look at the Resident Evil series, Dave, right? Unless you're the whack Miles Dompierre, and Miles, I love you like a brother, but if you're the whack Miles Dompierre, he'll tell you that Resident Evil Code Veronica does not have a place in the franchise. I'm here to tell you that, Miles, you're wrong, man. Who remembers that this was a Dreamcast exclusive? Who remembers that opening scene when Claire is running from that gunship and she drops the gun after putting her hands up to only come on. It's legendary. So during this, and of course, shout out to Idle Sloth, the human being which I am going to meet next year by hook or by damn crook. He put on his Twitter, Capcom reveals potential Resident Evil game remaking beyond the main numbered entries during a Q&A with shareholders. And Code Veronica was brought up, Resident Evil Code Veronica, and it says, we are carrying out discussions regarding the future expansion of this series so it can be enjoyed. That tells me that it's locked. Dave, let's get your hot take on this. Are you you're a horror guy? We know you're a horror guy. Where does Code Veronica fall? Is it worthy of being a part of Resident Evil, or are you on Team Miles?
Oh, no. Siphon Filter in the chat is wrong. Sorry, Cypher. I didn't mean to call you out in front of everybody. No, I'm just kidding. But no, man, Code Veronica is awesome. I mean, it's a slightly different take on the story.
Well, it's got the brother and his sister in it, bro. It's got both Renfields in it. I mean, that in itself. I mean, I know a lot of people didn't like the annoying kid in it, and it's fine. That's fine. But it's got Claire and it's got Chris. What else could you want?
Exactly. No, but I mean, look what they've done with the other ones. You know what I mean? How amazing they've turned out by putting their stamp and their hard work behind it. They're so why not take Code Veronica and make it as good as those other games, and then maybe the naysayers will like it then if it gets the treatment that it deserves. I'm thinking, why stop there? let's do that to the Dino Crisis series. That they need to do that with those two. I mean, just
how see, and I asked, and again, when I asked him, it was very early here, which means it was even earlier where he lives. I believe he's in the West Coast, Idle Sloth. Because I couldn't find it anywhere. Was Dino Crisis mentioned? I mean, we don't have him here, but BitClout, like myself, huge Dino Crisis fans. How the F that game didn't get a remake yet is bananas. I mean, did anyone play? Okay, maybe 2, not as good as 1. 3, an abomination, terrible. Okay, that's fine. But Dino Crisis 1, I would play it now in those horrendous tank control graphics because it's that damn good.
Yeah. Dustin Lambert has another good in the chat. He had another good call out, which would be the Power Stone series. Power Stone.
Oh my dude, God,
I love Power Stone.
My God, I still own those games, and they are amazing.
So what we're saying is that Xbox needs to buy Sega and Capcom right after this deal's done. Gotcha. I'll make it a note.
I like it. I like it too. You're going to be like a drawn TJ or an Umbra. You guys agree.
Buy them
all.
You
want every one. You want every. I hear you.
Yeah. But no, it's the game is fantastic. It's is it as good as say number two? Two is still probably my favorite out of all of them. I loved one because didn't know what to expect, and when those dogs jumped out of the window, it scared the crap out of me when I was when I was playing them. I was gonna say when I was younger, but I was in my late 20s. But but still, the point is that it was great stuff, man. Great gaming, great man, just so much good. And like I said, if it gets the treatment, and these other games by Capcom, the Dino Crisis, things like that, that they've had so much good success, maybe they're now on the drawing board, or at least on a list of, okay, cool. Once we get through all these that we want to with the Resident Evil series, what else can we do? What else do we have as a company, as franchises that we could reimagine? And those would definitely have to be on the list. I would think. Wouldn't you?
Dude, they have so many amazing games from back in the PlayStation era that are just sitting there. They had the 3D Ghost and Goblins, which was really good. That saw 2 iterations. We're gonna get to, because they mentioned Onimusha coming back as well. To me, that's the monster right there.
I'd love for them to bring their fighting games back too.
There's
Capcom
so much
versus
to do.
Anybody.
Capcom
versus,
I think
Killer
they're
Instinct.
working on something. There's Capcom versus somebody. I don't know if it's going to be Street Fighter again. I don't know if it's going to be
or Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
Just saying. Look at your face.
That's what I say.
Just hit you.
No, good stuff, brother.
I
I agree with you, Dave. I think there is there's something to be said. Like, look, Resident Evil 7 was a masterpiece, and it took a risk at a time where Capcom was on the ropes of bankruptcy. 2016, they were almost out of the picture, folks. And Resident Evil 7 came out, and that Resident Evil 7, and I think Capcom would admit this, if I sat down with the board, that is when the turnaround for the company, it was right after Resident Evil 7 sold bonkers crazy. You got Monster Hunter World right after that, back-to-back bombs. And they have been doing so well that last year they gave all of their employees a 25% raise. So I don't know if there's a world where they want to sell. They're just doing too well. Now, I got some numbers for Street Fighter 6 this morning. Not that great, to be honest with you. They have reported that they sold only 2 million copies worldwide. Yikes. I have it. I bought the deluxe edition. I haven't played it because there's just not enough time when you're playing already a ton of games. So I'll get to it eventually. But let's bring in Dreadpool. Dreadpool, a part of this conversation with Capcom and their investors. Obviously, we got the information with Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 6 only selling 2 million worldwide. I don't know. That kind of stings. I would have thought it would have been somewhere around 5 million because it was multi-plat. It's on PC. It's on Xbox. It's on PlayStation. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't raced to it because I liked Street Fighter 5 and its setup. I don't know if I'm digging this run around the world and you make your own character and all of these emo kids running around pretending they're right. I'm just not into that kind of thing. So I don't know how much I'm going to really dig it. I play the arcade mode, and probably that's all I'm going to get to. I'm not going to be running around the freaking world trying to fight random dudes on the street. It's just not for me. But they mentioned Onimusha. So I want to read the tweet. Thanks again to Idle Sloth, the human, not the AI. He says, Capcom discussed Onimusha and the series' future at the investor Q&A along with other series. And it says, we are carrying out discussions regarding the future expansion of these titles so they can be enjoyed by a wider audience. So obviously, a lot of people are not going to remember because this audience that we're here, maybe you're in your 20s, you're like, what the hell is Onimusha? What the hell is that game? That game was a PlayStation 1 master classic. I've beaten it. They remade it. They dropped it into HD. I beat it 2 more times after that on modern consoles. It's freaking still phenomenal, even at the locked camera angles. But again, when you look at Sekiro, and you look at some of the other games that have come out with the samurai, overtones, they sell very well. And Onimusha is a series that if it comes back and it does what Resident Evil 2 did for the 98 version, and of course the follow up with 3 and then 4. 4 is again masterpiece of a game, in my top 3 of this year. Where do you fall? Are you an Onimusha dude, and do you think that this is just a start of bringing back some of Capcom's classics?
All right, I'm not a fan of tank controls. I always hate that when you go into another area and it changes the view, and then I'm going back and forth. I hate that. So Onimusha has never been one of the must play for me. And even Ninja game, I just couldn't do it. But that being said, I'm happy for my friends that have had it. So when they redid the HD, I was happy for you guys, even though they didn't fix the controls and left them like that. It was basically a toe dip in the water to see if it was warm enough to climb in. So we know that's what that was. That's what I said back then too. Hopefully they learn what they've done, and so and I understand it was an easy testing the waters per se, but they sometimes you just can't test the waters. You just got to go full force and do the Resident Evil whatever it wants to be called now, but just do the remastering, the recontrolling, everything, quality of life, the visuals, do all that stuff. The only thing is I want Dino Crisis to be like that too. I really want that, but I have a feeling that they're already involved too much with dinos, with their Exoprimal, that they're not looking into doing anything Dino Crisis anytime soon. Hopefully they think about that a little bit and figure out that there's enough room for those they're totally different types of games, that we can have more games with dinos, and let's get that out there. So let's bring back Dino Crisis. Let's get it updated with everything, quality of life, the visuals, the graphics, everything, gameplay. Let's fix it all and get it out there and bring them back. It's another franchise that they're screwing up on. And I don't know, if Xbox were to buy them, I'm not gonna be sitting there fighting tooth and nail against it. I'm wholeheartedly for it. Let's do this. But yeah, they need to fix the older games, bring them back. I've said this before. We talk about these old games. Onimusha is one of them. Dino Crisis. And today's kids don't know and don't care. Why? Because of those games are in our minds were better than they actually are when we go back to play them. I was doing that with KOTOR, right? Knights of the Old Republic. I went back and tried to play it, and I bought them, but I just couldn't do it anymore. It's not that era. And you try to get somebody to play, get off of Minecraft and play something like that.
Good luck with that, pal.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? So they're a different mindset. They've grown up. You look at how many kids now. You give them a Game Boy, and they're touching the screen, going, "This game's broken." And it's like, no, that doesn't have a touch screen. It's the buttons. And that's the whole thing. They need to update these older titles. They're the old ones, not last gen. Screw that stuff. Let's go with a couple gens back and bring them up to date. Let's bring it over here, and then this way these kids can enjoy the storylines that we enjoyed back in the day, and see how good these storylines are. Even though back then the gameplay wasn't it, but that was what we had. That's you had no choice. But what are they doing with Mario? Right? They've updated Mario every single time, every single console. There's been a new defining Mario, new style. We're not still playing the old blocky 8-bit games from continuously. Most people aren't playing those games anymore. You know, they want to play games like we're watching right now. They want, you know, they want the high def, they want the higher looks. What happened with Sonic? Same thing. They fixed it and updated the resolution. Even though it's the same gameplay, they've updated the resolutions. They've made them look prettier. They fix certain things. And that's what we want. We want them to fix these games. And Capcom would be the ones that do it to show, again, they've already shown that they can do it. They've shown that they can be the leader in fixing these games, and not just a remaster, and not just a remake. It's a everything. A retelling of the story, visual, controls, everything. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, we look. At the end of the day, I say the more games you have in your library, the better. Not every game is for every gamer. It's not going to appeal to a younger audience. Potentially, it's going to appeal to people that like over-the-shoulder, story-driven content that you get in a lot of what Sony does with their games. What you get with Gears, what you will get with Hellblade and Fable. So I'm happy to see that these franchises, even though it has been a minute since the last Onimusha game. Now, granted, Onimusha 1 HD came out. It was an okay port. I love it because I played through it twice. I love it. But the last real one was when they teamed up with Jean Reno, the actor. He was in obviously Onimusha 3. Phenomenal game because it was all about time travel. Crazy good. Oh my God, so good. But I'd love to see Onimusha come back. We definitely need a Dino Crisis in our life.
yes,
I don't care what age group you are, everyone loves dinosaurs. And if you like survival horror, and it is a genre, it's a big genre out there, and maybe there's you're not going to get the 10-year-olds because they should be playing that anyway. There is a market for a teenager, a gap of age to play that game. And like I said, I think the way that Capcom has respected the material. Just look at Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4. Now 3 was great, but it could have been spectacular. Like 2 was, they cut a lot out. Like the whole zoo is cut out from it. The whole clock tower fight with the Nemesis is not there. I was a little disappointed with that, but still a solid game. But let's bring in Fuzzy Belvedere. Fuzzy, look, this investor meeting tells me that for me, the most important thing, the takeaway as Capcom fan number one, is that Capcom's listening. And when a corporation listens to its gamers, you get great things. You get more toys in the toy box. And the fact that, like I said, maybe Dino Crisis wasn't mentioned, and that's fine. But the fact that they're bringing something back as obscure as Onimusha, because Onimusha is obscure. It is Japanese lore. It is, it had a trilogy, and the trilogy was phenomenal. But it's not a Resident Evil. The fact that they're talking about that, and the fact that they're bringing back something we've been requesting it. A lot of people a lot of fans in this chat today about, oh yeah, definitely got to do Code Veronica, phenomenal. Says that Dino Crisis is probably around the corner. They know it. As a matter of fact, I'm almost positive they had it in development and they canned it because they didn't like the direction of it being. Maybe they were going in a new direction. They don't have to do new. Take the blueprint, remake the old one like you did Resident Evil 2, and everyone's going to love it. But what are your takes on them bringing back some of these older franchises, dude?
I like to hear when developers look at their back catalog and know that there are fans out there that are anxiously awaiting them to revive some of these. Yeah, I know at the time some of them may not have hit the numbers or hit the mark, but there's been enough time that has passed that brings something like I can't even think of the name of the game right now. But one thing I would definitely like to see from them is Capcom versus SNK. I know it's a different fighting game. It may not be as popular as Street Fighter or anything, but
dude, it's phenomenal.
But SNK was like the hardcore fighting arcade game. Basically, if you were a Neo Geo fan, you were for any of the SNK fighting genre games that were out there and stuff like that. So I would love to see a collab like that. I would love to see a Dino Crisis. Code Veronica is a nice one that they're looking into. I'm hoping at some point we see Dead Rising, but I want it to have less comedic tones to it, maybe more serious tones to it next time around.
It's funny you should mention that. And this is, folks, take this with a grain of salt, right? It's out there. Go hunt the rumor. There was a rumor floating around. Now, it could be nothing, could be true. We know Capcom working super close with Xbox. There was a rumor, Fuzzy, that Capcom had decided to reboot Dead Rising, and the tone was expected to be serious like The Last of Us. And what's more crazy, folks, it was going to be an Xbox permanent exclusive. Take that with a grain of salt. This is what I have heard, but I like what you're putting down there.
Yeah, there's just so many IPs that they can look to bring back, but the ones that they had made mention as far as in that call to their investors is a good sign that not only are they listening to their customer base, but they're looking for new ideas and not relying solely on the current Resident Evil franchise, just the numbered franchise itself. They're looking to expand. Will revisit some of their old IPs that will, hopefully bring even more revenue for their investors. But it's always good to see companies do that. Encourage more companies to do that. But Capcom is one of those where they definitely have a good enough back catalog of IPs that just haven't been in use as of late. That would be awesome to see revisited again.
Yeah, I agree. I look, I mean, there are a lot of really big publishers out there that have amazing back catalogs. Xbox being one of them. Nintendo constantly doing it. I mean, look, Mario Wonder is going to sell minimum 10 million before the end of the year, without a doubt. Sony, crazy good back catalog. SOCOM, where are you? You want to make a gas game? Let's bring back SOCOM. They have a ton. I mean, Twisted Metal would be great to come back. So when you take a step back, again, Konami has theirs. There's so many of them, but Capcom, at least in my opinion, folks, when it comes to a back catalog of IPs that are literally legendary, every one of them, the crowning jewel of gaming is Capcom. And fight me if you want. That's fine. You can fight me with Sega. You can fight me with wherever. But I'm telling you, based on my love of Capcom and how many games that I played that literally were like, whoa, Capcom reigns supreme. But ladies and gentlemen, let me catch up on the last couple of super chats. It's been quite a few of them, and of course, we're gonna get everyone out of here because I got to go meet my brother for lunch at 1. So of course, I'm gonna end the show and pretty much on time because it's 11:50, so we've been here for almost 2 hours. We have here drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "Morning Boom. Wish Microsoft went to Telltale Games after Sega. Imagine the amount of content that they would put out having access to the Microsoft library. Feed the beast." Let me tell you something. That's a phenomenal idea. We're still waiting on the Wolf game, the second one. What the hell was the name of the game with the werewolf, the big bad wolf? I can't remember the name of it. Chat, help me out over here. Where's that game? And I really like Telltale stuff. Didn't like everything. I'm not, Guardians I thought was great. Batman was phenomenal.
Wolf Among Us.
Wolf Among Us. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the save. Yeah, so Wolf Among Us 2 in development was announced. I don't know where it is. I'd love to see Microsoft pick up a Telltale. I mean, that would be kind of dope. But who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe they're on the short list. Silent Cypher, just very generous, $2 super chat, and says Dread just got demonetized. Good morning, guys. We also have another $2 super chat. And I'm sorry, brother. Thank you for the generosity, but you're wrong because he says Miles is 100% right about Code Veronica. Boo this man, please. Torino Johnson, just a very generous $5 super chat. Torino, welcome back, brother. He says, if I'm the judge, if I'm the one judge talked about, I play once and then done. I just want Xbox to grow stronger, more great games. I mean, I hear you. I think that they really have, like I said, the future for Xbox gamers is incredibly bright. Helava drops a very generous $2.50 pound super chat. Brother, thank you so much for the generosity and welcome to the program. The Herd Theorem drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, AAA roguelite reboot of Pitfall a la Returnal. Dude, Pitfall, look, I'm just saying that Microsoft has indie, right? So, you know, take that for what it's worth. But if I'm investing dollars, could you imagine Pitfall Harry coming back and looking like Uncharted? Not saying he has to follow exactly Uncharted, but could you imagine that? That would be freaking epic. Jonas the Dad, what's going on, brother? Welcome to the show. He drops very generous $2 super chat and says, buying Sega helps your TV movie for Xbox. I'm down. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's no doubt about it. The crazy IP that they could work with. Sonic is just right. I'm telling you, Sonic is more popular now than he was in the 90s. Helava drops a very additional £2 and 50-cent super chat. Thank you so much for the generosity. He says, of other things lost, man. He says, of other things, I lost a friend to suicide. Yeah, dude, I'm mad condolences, bro. Suicide is a thing. It is, unfortunately, some people feel desperate where they don't feel like they have people they can talk to. I mean, listen, we're all here. Like I've had people reach out to me and not threaten to hurt themselves, but you know, they needed someone to talk to. My DMs are open, folks. Reach out, man. If you're thinking about it, don't. Trust me when I tell you, regardless of how bad your life is, it'd be worse with you not in it. So yeah, sorry to hear that, dude. That is awful. And of course, again, condolences to your friend and their family. But folks, this has been a great 2 hours. Let's get on out of here so you can start your weekend, and hopefully later on today we'll learn the fate of the Activision Blizzard King, merger. And rest assured, folks, that on Monday, if this thing goes through, and I think it's going to go through, you can expect a monster panel for Monday's show, the Xbox Lunch Break Special, with, of course, Web Dave and Fuzzy Belvedere. And we'll probably have a couple of guests. Maybe King David will make his way over there. You know, Mr. Hold the Line himself, among others. We will certainly see. But we'll start first with Dreadpool. Dreadpool, let me just bring you up on the screen over there. You can find Dreadpool at youtube.com/Dreadpool, Twitter at Dreadpool. You can find him on linktree.com/Dreadpool. You can also find him on TikTok at Dreadpool, as well as hover.gg Dreadpool. You can find him on every Friday morning here on Breakfast at Boom. You can also find him on Gaming Beyond the Box, which is Wilmy Hood Show on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, you can go over to his YouTube channel right now and subscribe and check out Breaking Bread with Dread. Brother, sell your brand.
Yes. Currently streaming weekends and trying to get those videos out there. I got some 4th of July stuff to throw out there, a little fun stuff. But yeah, on Threads now. So, you know, for those that are Skies Falling, I went ahead and shifted over there too, just so you guys could find me. Hopefully get some interaction there. But again, thank you, chat. Thank you for everything, for being here and helping support all of us. And again, if our DMs are always open, we are serious when we say this. If there's ever an ear and we can help out that way, just go ahead and DM us. We'll at least listen. We're not therapists. We can't tell you what to do, but Boom's right. We're better with you here than without you.
Yep, 100%.
So definitely remember that. And Oh, Sundays, I help out Good Morning Xbox with the Axel 1324
Mm,
at 9 a.m. And we're going to be doing some conventions this coming weekend. So
nice.
be on the lookout for a whole bunch of content coming out there too. And hopefully we can get the last 2 Breaking Breads finished. It's been a fight to get these things edited. So looking forward to those dropping and getting some more recorded after that. So again, thank you all.
We definitely look forward to it. Shout out to Happy Cloud Gamer. They're asking what time. It's 6 p.m. by you. For us here in the United States, it is 11:57. So it's almost 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for us. Shout out to Justin in the chat, who gives us a number that you can dial if you are having thoughts of suicide. That is 988 on any phone, and you will get immediately contacted to somebody, one of the counselors. It is free. It is confidential. Dial 988 if you are someone or someone you know may be considering suicide. They have amazing representatives that will talk you off the ledge, literally. So yeah, again, that number, folks, 988 on any phone, and it is free. It is free to call. It is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even during holidays. So definitely take advantage of that number. Again, 988 if you need the help. Web Dave, sell your brand. You got a show coming up on Sunday. And obviously, you probably have a couple of interviews already locked and loaded and ready to go. Talk about it, brother. Sell the brand, and where can people help you continue the growth of your incredible YouTube channel?
Thanks, Boom. I'll make it quick. The episode that's up right now is an interview with Jesse Norris from Xbox Era. It's a really good one. He's a fascinating guy, and if you're into making your own channel and you want some insight into how to get things going and get your content up, that's a good episode to watch. Next week, Monday, I've got Sergeant Sentinel. And then the week after that, I got Lady Foxfire in the can ready to go. So
great people, man.
yeah, some good ones. I do. I want to drop this in the chat, Boom, if it's cool with you. And I do, to push our show, which is great. But my co-host, which is Retri, he is literally 13 away from 500 subscribers.
Oh, we can do that right now, live on the air. Come on, there's 500 people here. Let's go. I mean,
if you haven't subscribed to Retri to Game Pass Daily, please do so, because he's such a great guy, and he's going to start doing his own content as well as continue on our show, The Gamers Council. But you know, Boom is so nice to help me out and to get us to where we needed to be. And he's kind of modest. He doesn't want to seem to ask for it for himself. He you know, so I'm pushing for him because you know, he's a good guy. He's a good dude.
Yeah, if you guys are looking,
he's a great part of the community.
Yeah, if you guys are looking for anything and all Game Pass related information,
that's where you got to be.
He's dropping them left and right. He's got shorts out there, so yeah, definitely, for sure, check him out. And he's one of the guys that I'm streaming with, along with Silent Cypher, which is why I keep on getting demonetized. Nice. So makes you wonder why. So definitely check him out. Subscribe to his channel, and you'll find out why I keep on getting demonetized.
They have a very nice vocabulary when they do the live streams. There you go. And I know Fuzzy's up next, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop Fuzzy's link in there for everybody to jump on his channel.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, do me a favor, folks. Look again. You know me. You're here because you enjoy the content. I get messages every day about, hey, Boom, I found person X because of your show. Subscribe to them. I put all of their links. Everyone's link is in the show notes. You got to do is click it twice. Click on it to get there. Click it to sub. And if you want to be a generous gamer, you click a third time, you hit the bell icon. I would not suggest a person for you to sub if I didn't myself listen to. I wouldn't say, hey, go listen to a-hole whatever to sub his channel or her channel because they're toxic pieces of you know what. I wouldn't tell you to do that because I don't listen to them. So I would never send you over there. If I'm sending you over to subscribe to a person or persons, rest assured that I listen to it and I would never send you there if I did myself. So while we're here, while we still have 460 people still here, hit these links. Let's get Retri past 500. And also let's get Fuzzy Belvedere to 1K. I mean, folks, you listen to him twice a week on my show. You hear him on other shows, but he has his own aspirations of success on YouTube, and we want to help get him there. Sell your brand, Fuzzy Belvedere. Talk about the best place, anything and everything racing, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Oh, just want to thank you as always for having me on here. It's always awesome being on here with you guys on Friday mornings. For those that want to also hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter or any other social media platform, Fuzzy_Belvedere or Fuzzy Belvedere, all one word. It's easy to find me. You can also find me on Xbox Ultimate later on tonight on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. The Shop Podcast on Saturday on PTK Blam's channel at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then right back here for Xbox Ultimate on, Xbox Lunch Break Special on Monday at 12 noon. Look forward to seeing you guys here next week.
Well, thank you, brother. Appreciate you being here, not only on this show on Fridays, but also on Monday's show. We love the way that you bring and you break down everything and you give your hot takes, and they're always honest. So listen, folks, thank you so much for tuning into this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. Of course, I want to say a big thank you to all of the outstanding super chats that have come in. Let me just make sure I got them all. We got one here from Jonas the Dad. Drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat and says, "Boom, thanks for being a positive impact. You rock." Listen, folks, I've said this before, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. If I have to be a scumbag to get success, I will quit tomorrow. What you see is what you get. There's no hidden agendas. There's no secret sauce. This is me. I like being positive. If I can't, if I'm gonna fail, and I failed because being positive, well, I'll keep failing. Hopefully you enjoy it enough that you hit the like button while you're here. If you're subscribed, hit the subscribe button. And if you want to be even a more generous gamer, share this out on social media. Let people know that we do it positive here. We have fun 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, all different shows, all different panels, and we don't use hate or clickbait to get you in. You just come here, you have fun, and enjoy yourself. So hopefully, again, folks, have a great weekend. Stay safe. And I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught me with kids. And he would say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, Craig. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom."